Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and in this week's video I'm going to show you how to make this egg protection spell. This spell is basically a spell bottle, but you use an egg instead of the bottle, which I think for a protection spell is genius, because eggs are traditionally used for protection spells. So using an egg as the bottle in a protection spell, I think that's just genius. But before I start showing you the spell, I want to say a couple of words, because I completely forgot whether this spell was my idea or whether that was someone else's idea. I asked my witch friends whether that was their idea, and they told me about it, and I just found it so cool that it just got stuck in my mind. But no one remembered having that idea. So either it was my idea or I found it somewhere on the internet, but then it must have been YouTube or Instagram, because I don't really use any other social media platforms. So if you find that spell on Instagram or YouTube, please link it in the comments and I will put it in the video description, because I don't want to rip off someone else's idea if I personally don't remember if it was my own idea. So yeah, if you find that type of spell online, put it in the comments and I will put it in the video description. But without further ado, let's start with the spell. This is what I used for the spell: eggshell powder, rosemary, cloves, dandelion root, chili flakes, garden sage, garlic powder, lavender, ginger powder, black pepper, 3 crystals, black tourmaline, clear quartz and garnet, eggshells of course, and a black candle for sealing. When it comes to the eggshells, it's important that they are as intact as possible, so that sealing them with wax is as easy as possible in the end. We don't want the ingredients to fall out. Also, if you're vegan or you don't eat eggs for any other reason, ask your friends, family or neighbors for their eggshells. I started out by gathering all the herbs and mixing them in a small bowl. As you can see, I used quite a lot of ingredients. When planning the spell, I really wanted to play around with numerology. As a Norse pagan, the number 9 is really important to me, so I decided to go with 9 different kinds of herbs, 3 crystals, and the eggshells as a single different type of ingredient. That way I incorporated all the parts the number 9 is made up of, because 9 is either 3 times 3 or 1 times 9, while also incorporating all the 3 kingdoms of nature: the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the animal kingdom. When it comes to the ingredients of a spell, it's best though to choose whatever herbs, crystals or other things you connect to the spell intention. I wanted my protection spell to have a soothing and grounding flavor. That's why I chose lavender and crystals and herbs corresponding with the root chakra, like dandelion root and garnet. Feel free to choose whatever herbs and crystals feel right to you. You could also use other things like thorns, snail shells, salt, or even sigils or other symbols in your spell. Next up, I wanted to cleanse the herbs. I don't feel like I always have to do that with herbs and crystals, but most of the herbs I used were stolen from my spice rack instead of self-grown and self-harvested herbs, so I decided to give them a little cleanse. To do that, I'm using the cleansing candle you saw me make in a different video to light my self-made cleansing bundle of rosemary and garden sage. I really enjoy using self-made cleansing bundles, but of course you can use whatever way of cleansing you feel most suitable. After cleansing, of course, I charged the herbs with the spell intention. Since I wanted to stick with the number 9, I combined stirring the herbs clockwise 9 times while also visualizing the spell intention. Remember, clockwise brings something in, counterclockwise banishes. Afterwards, it was the crystal's turn to be cleansed and charged. Clear quartz I use in basically any spell, because it is a multi-function crystal. It can be used to replace any other crystal, because it can be charged with any intention you could think of. I used garnet because for me it's one of the crystals I like to use for grounding. Also, I personally think it corresponds with the root chakra, which fit perfectly for this spell. Lastly, I chose black tourmaline for its protecting qualities. For me personally, black tourmaline is the go-to crystal for banishing and protection, so I make sure to always use it in protection spells. Of course, after cleansing the crystals, I also put my intention into them. I basically told them what to do. Then I remembered that I completely forgot to cleanse the eggshells, so I quickly did that. In my opinion, if you make something like a spell bottle, a spell sachet, or any other type of spell where the intention and the energy is held inside any sort of container, it's crucial to cleanse the container. Otherwise, the energies of the container could kind of contaminate the whole spell, and that would be a shame. And finally, the fun part, combining all the ingredients. I added the herb and eggshell mixture and the crystals. Of course, I didn't just throw everything into the egg. I added every single pinch of herbs and every single crystal with intention. The more intention and will you put into your spells, the better. But the most nerve-wracking part still awaited, the sealing of the egg. I used normal candle wax, but of course you could also use special sealing wax. I guess that would work even better. I just didn't have any on hand. Also, I chose the color black for its banishing and protecting qualities. But you could of course also use a different color if you don't feel like using black. And now you can see why it's so important that the egg doesn't have any holes in it. If it did have any big holes or gaps, the herbs and crystals would fall out during this part of the spell. And also sealing the cracks and holes with candle wax would have been even trickier. It was already tedious enough to seal the egg properly so that it won't come apart afterwards. I proceeded to carefully drip wax on the crack in the egg. This takes quite some time because, of course, you have to let the wax cool down before adding even more wax. I continued doing this until I felt like the whole thing was sturdy enough. I used quite some wax, but I thought, better safe than sorry. Of course, during this part of the spell, you can also concentrate on the spell intention and maybe visualize it. Because I thought I was done with the spell at this point, I activated the whole thing. There are a lot of ways in which you can do that. For example, tapping the container with your wand or finger, shaking it, turning it around, blowing on it, whatever feels right, really. But afterwards I felt like the spell was missing something. So I decided to also add some runes on the outside. I chose the Algis, Ingwas and Berkana rune for their more calm and soothing protection qualities. But of course you could also create your own bind rune or sigil, or use whatever symbol you connect with protection, like the pentagram maybe. My runes came out kind of wonky. I wish I had done a better job at that. But drawing on an egg really isn't that easy. And this is how the whole thing turned out. Not the most pretty spell, I must admit, but aesthetics aren't everything. And that's all there is to it. I think it's pretty simple. Of course, you can personify the spell for yourself. For example, you could use less herbs because I am aware that I used a lot of herbs. You could use different crystals. You could also use completely different types of things. For example, thorns are often used for protection. So you can just ask your intuition what types of ingredients you should use and then use those. You don't have to stick to all the things that I used in this video. And also you can make the spell much more beautiful by maybe drawing something really beautiful on the egg or tying a black ribbon around it, anything like that. If you want to recreate the spell, then please do me a favor and post it on Instagram and tag me in it, because I would love to see it. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe and give it a thumbs up and follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!